And also this afternoon, this in dramatic scenes reminiscent of the blockbuster film Captain Phillips, British Special Forces stormed an oil tanker in under 10 minutes after the captain sent a desperate mayday when stowaways threatened to kill the crew. This is an extraordinary story. 7 stowaways understood to have boarded the vessel in Nigeria and became violent towards the end of the voyage and wanted to leave the vessel. 16 members of the Special Boat Service, SBS, ended a 10-hour standoff off the coast of the Isle of Wight in what's been described as a textbook raid. Chris Ryan is a former SAS soldier and host of the Life or Death podcast. If you've not downloaded that, do it now. It's amazing. Chris, afternoon. Good to have you back on the show. I didn't think we'd speak again quite so soon, but who thought something like this would happen off the coast of the Isle of Wight?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, it's a textbook operation for the SBS. The ship was underway, so the guys would have entered the ship via helicopter and boat using grappling hooks, and really, it would have been over in minutes. Yeah. There was a great danger there of those refugees maybe throwing some of the crew overboard, and I think that's why there was such a rapid response.
Who are the SBS then? Because we know about the SAS, your former area. What about the SBS? These guys don't get the same kind of adoring notes written about them as the SAS, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, I ran the first joint selection with the SBS and SAS. So the guys do the SAS selection, and then they go off and do their own training down at Poole. These guys deal with any type of operations to do with the water, as we've seen with the ships. They were used a lot in Afghanistan. They take guys from the Marines, and that's fed into the SBS troops. They're very, very capable soldiers.
So in terms of a raid such as this, so the Mayday message goes out. These guys jump into a load of helicopters. They're there rather quickly, we have to assume. How risky is this from the SBS perspective?
Well, it was a large ship that they mounted. So what they would have done is used Merlin and Wildcat helicopters. They would have had top cover. A sniper would have been in position covering the decks. The guys would have fast roped out of the helicopter onto the ship. As they were securing the top, the guys would have then approached in the dead spot of the ship in boats, used grappling hooks, caving ladders, and entered the ship. And it would have, like I said, it would have been over probably within about 3-4 minutes. They would have secured that. They would have made contact with the captain. The crew were in a safe room, so the guys would have secured that. And then basically it was just a matter of clearing the ship and rounding the refugees up.
This would have been an armed unit prepared to use
absolutely.
To use lethal force if needed?
Yes. They would have been carrying obviously long rifles and pistols. But again, it would have been they would have been looking at it as a hard arrest. So they'll go in and arrest these guys, secure them, and then hand them over to the authorities.
I would imagine, I mean, if you're in the SBS, do you spend weeks, if not months or even years, hanging around waiting for a moment such as this? How often?
Both the SBS and the SAS hang around, I can assure you, waiting for these type of jobs to come down. What it is, you have a standby team within the SAS and SBS, and it's all down to the type of operation. Now, if that ship had come alongside and it was docked up, it would have probably been a joint operation between the SAS and SBS, but because it was underway, that's deemed for the SBS to deal with it. So again, textbook, these guys train constantly on these type of operations. And it was quick. And the other positive thing, nobody was injured.
Yeah. And that is a skill in itself, I imagine, to manage something like this with minimal harm to all concerned. Chris, great to have you on. Thank you. Chris Ryan, former SAS soldier. He's the host of Life or Death podcast. Every now and again, a podcast comes along and you think that's the one. That's the one I'm going to That's the one I'm going to listen to. And Chris Ryan's one, and the guest list that is on there, it's also completely free. So if you fancy a little bit of that, it's called Life or Death, Chris Ryan's podcast. That is out now from your preferred podcast provider, of course.